Alright, race ready 78 here yet with another video. Welcome to the next 10 minutes of misery if you choose to stay. We're talking about 1963 Grand National mod and Junior Johnson's Impala in particular, and I'll be saying Galaxy a lot. Forgive me, what I meant to say is Impala. Here is our sketch of version 000.1. Basically your very first steps into editing anything. And we're looking at our engine profile. I've been over that shit for like 2 years. Not gonna go over it again. 6200 RPM our rev limiter. We'll make a video on the rev limiter. However, then oil cooling, water cooling, and gears for your transmission. If you really don't know what those are, get out of here now. However, I left them stock for now. They haven't been changed. Those are for future references. The next two lines we've been over as well. Peak power. It ain't no peak power. We don't know what that is. You can put it down to 10,000 peak horsepower and not a damn thing is going to change in the simulator. So we're not fucking with it for now. I'm just wanted you to see this line. Then our weight. And I'll explain later. They've removed interior, they removed fog lights, shit off the mirrors, off the car, but then they put the truck axle into the car and added weight, so we really don't know what the freaking weight of the car is. We just went with the stock one that's advertised. However, that's subject due to research and change. Horrible next line. Fuel for all cars and frontal area for Cup and GNS. This line is the most famous bug that will screw you. Affects all the chassis. 20-gallon fuel tank, but it will also change frontal area right there on GNS and Cup on all chassis 0 through 5. That'll change your frontal area and pretty much fuck you basically. So yep, that's why we're messing with CTS physics only. CTS and PTA are really your way to go. Next in line, 25 square feet is the advertised online frontal area for the Impala. Frontal area CTS, you see, has a separate line from the fuel tank. And then, of course, drag coefficient. I went with 0.5 and I'll explain it to you in an IRL video why I did that. We could see different chassis and different drag coefficient for different stuff for the stock CTS. But yeah, basically drag coefficient, we'll talk about that. Then the last three lines is wheelbase. You need to know how far your front and rear wheels are apart from one another and how far they are apart from each other, like that. So this is needed. We took the 7-inch longer wheelbase on the Impala and took all the readings. They're very close to stock, like track wise, front and rear track wise, very close. However, the car is much longer, 7 inches longer. For the next segment, for the version 0002, let me scroll down. We'll be talking about moment of inertia. There'll be a separate video of its own. That's a step of editing and testing of its own. We'll do a bunch of cool physics editing with that one. Fuel tank location, of course. Downforce. You gotta realize that we are not anywhere close to 2003 trucks downforce that they produce with our 63 Galaxy, so that needs to be adjusted. All this stuff will be adjusted for our next edit. But so far it's all left stock 2003, just not to do too many steps at once. This will be a second step in our editing. Now you want to watch this video yourself. Here is where they talk about freaking installing an axle from the truck and having a bunch of suspension modifications done to it, thus increasing the weight of the vehicle, even though they decreased the weight by stripping it down and doing all the racing stuff. And yeah, right there, I strongly advise you watch it yourself. Yeah, and here is the article where they actually dynoed the actual Mystery 427 engine, 450 torque at 4700 RPM, about 450 horsepower at 5700, and they revved it up to 6000. I put a red line of 62 because Nesker Schmesker 62 is pretty much right there, good on the spot. Could do 6,000 for average. We'll be messing with red lines separately. And before I let you go in the IRL segment, an honorable mention of automotive calculators from Wallace Racing. Everyone needs to use this together with the replay analyzer. This is the stuff where you get to input all the silly race ready numbers and see how the math lines up if you don't want to know or do math on your own, and see how it all matches and plays together with NASCAR 2003. Wallace Racing Automotive Calculators will be visiting this fucker a lot more often in the future as we go forward with our process. It's got frontal area calculator, horsepower. I'll show you everything that you need to know with the automotive calculators. And first segment through, we are going IRL for a bonus part of this video. See you soon. Right, and here we are, IRL, for the next few minutes of misery, talking about version 000.1, basically your first steps at editing. And let me use my left-handed drawing skills right here to sketch out a little engine, however it's gonna look like, a little carburetor on top. So we got the engine profile, and I've been talking about engines for like years. And that thing is gonna have RPM, power, which is torque, then torque times RPM, whatever formula will be our power. Too much stuff going on, but that will be our guy that is propelling us forward, that is moving us forward now. Just these very few basic changes will affect your EXE setup dramatically. Like, this will not be no longer the same car ever, just from very few changes. So, also, all this stuff could be graphed out on a replay analyzer, and I'm gonna call it RA, replay analyzer. That's what's up for now with it. And all this stuff, our engine profile, which is verifiable and been talked about for years, and you could verify your horsepower and torque and RPM and everything through replay analyzer. All that stuff will be working against our chassis, our body, you know, going through the air. And the two things that we have changed in our chassis is the frontal area, and I will demonstrate it on the example of this 1987 Volkswagen hippie bus. You know, frontal area, correct? Everybody should know what I'm talking about at this point. Then the shape of the body, drag coefficient. So we have FA as frontal area, and then DC as drag coefficient, basically the shape of the object that is moving through the air. I've been over this before. Once again, the air will be passing through the chassis, and it will either pass easily or give it a hard time if the shape is flat. So let me go back and write down our basic stuff that we have, which would be 0.5 is our drag coefficient, 25 square feet is our frontal area, all accurate for this car. On the drag coefficient for the 1963 Galaxy, it's 0.55. But here is a quick sidetrack into what I mean. And why did I go with 50? Simply because if we have our headlights for a Galaxy, not much of a Galaxy artist, but here's our grille. Looks like a Russian Daisy car. However, bumper or something, I don't know, fat tires, a car. Check out. Still know how to draw a little bit. Basically, if you look at the Junior Johnson video, you will see these guys are metalled out and covered out completely, so the freaking headlights were removed, as well as notice there will be no mirrors on these race cars, because let me get it in a different color. I really want you to see exactly what I mean. No headlights, no there's another thing that I want to talk about. If you watch the Junior Johnson video, he was talking about Windows, and not Windows 7, but Windows. He said in his super speedway car, he had Windows, but in his short track car, he didn't have any Windows. That shit will drastically affect your drag coefficient. So we're still experimenting with stuff, and this is stuff to go for later. But basically, once again, your engine guy will be pushing your chassis, and that's verifiable through replay analyzer, and it'll be working against your frontal area, the size of your car, just 25 square feet, multiply by drag coefficient. And for our, let me try to draw an Impala or a Galaxy. Yeah, it's not Galaxy, it's Impala that we're talking about all this time. Sorry about that. And the drag coefficient is 0.5. Why? Because we got no mirrors, no headlights, and I mean, this is a freaking NASCAR level vehicle, so I'm sure they had some stuff done to it to decrease the coefficient a little bit. So we're gonna go with 0.5, but that is, again, Windows 2. We'll do our tests and measurements, you know, plus minus a little bit, but this is a good entry point. Why? Because CTS physics have it as, let's say, 0.57 versus our Galaxy stock off factory 0.55. So pretty much our CTS truck from 2003 being a truck with the same frontal area, having a rear spoiler, all the downforce of a truck, and the shape of it all came up to 57 versus 55 in 1963 versus, you know, a little Galaxy vehicle. I give an edge in drag to the Galaxy. However, it is hard to tell. So this plus minus 0.5 right here that we're playing with. And these are the basic 3 changes that will give you your top speed and how you're gonna get to top speed. How fast is it gonna take you to get to your top speed? And this was next 7 minutes of misery with Race Radio. I'm gonna chop up this video as much as I can to exclude all the extra stupid pieces. And yeah, back to the digital realms. And of course, I forgot to mention the weight. Because we do live, even though it's a virtual papyrus universe, everything has weight, and it must have weight, gravity, shit like that. So no matter what you build, let it be Mazda Miata or a VW hippie bus or whatever you want, nice Miata, it's bound to have weight. So that's another thing. It's easily, you can research, you can buy your own Galaxy and weight it at the metal recycling place. The ways to do the weight is up to you, but it must have weight, and that's why we need to include that as a change. However, with your top speed, it's not gonna matter as much as let's say tire wear and the way car behaves, but we gotta include it in our first 0001 version. And yep, weight, gotta have it.